Gunmen have stormed Libya's parliament in Tripoli, detaining at least 20 lawmakers and officials. Troops loyal to renegade General Khalifa Haftar are believed to have carried out the attack. Earlier this week, more than 70 people were killed in the city of Benghazi as the same rogue general tried to push Islamist militias out of the city. To discuss this, we're now crossing live to activist and journalist Sukant Chandan, joining us live on RT International. Thank you for being with us. Now, General Khalifa Haftar, who allegedly ordered these attacks, says that this is not a coup, but what does he want us to call it? He's attacking parliament, he's arresting lawmakers. What do you think?
It's democracy. It's democracy brought to Libya on the wings of NATO, which bombed and incinerated Libyans on behalf of itself, but also their collaborators on the ground. Of which Mr. Haftar is an old collaborator, isn't he? He ran into the arms of the CIA back in the early 1980s, having been a senior member of the Libyan Jamahiriya army. So this is democracy. This is what democracy looks like for the global south when it's exported by NATO and its leading powers based in London, Paris and Washington. And also we have to, I think, zoom out and see the bigger picture as well, because the crisis going in Nigeria with the terrorist movement there, which is using and abusing Islam. I never go for the mainstream rhetoric on Islam and Muslims, because usually it's quite white supremacist and racist. But Boko Haram are abusing this religion, conducting destabilization and trauma and division. Even mainstream commentators are tying what's happening in Nigeria to the fallout in Libya. Just shortly before, we had the Al gas plant kidnapping and hijacking in Algeria late last year. We've had the situation in Mali, which is still developing as we speak now in terms of the fallout in Libya. So Libya really was the shield of Africa. That was what Gaddafi's former government was called. And day by day, week by week, month by month, that role that Libya had hitherto played is showing its veritable trueness more and more and more. So this is...
So let me ask you this. I mean, there's been reports that they are militias who are targeting, the men on the street society. And why do you think that he's particularly targeting radical Islamist groups, as he calls them? Does he believe he has the power to eradicate these so-called militia groups?
Well, there's many factors and complex factors and contradictory factors at play here. First of all, Haftar is an old army man, and what's been happening in Benghazi, which hasn't been reported in the mainstream at all since 2011, since this pro-NATO death squad rebellion started, is nearly 1,000 members of Libya's former army, police and judiciary have been assassinated, have been systematically assassinated in Benghazi and in the eastern region in Darna and other places. But also Haftar is an old CIA man, so it could be that the West, particularly the United States, are using him as a Trojan to just sound out what he's capable of, because perhaps your viewers will know that, the politics of Libya have become just ridiculous if it wasn't so traumatic and upsetting. But actually, the junta in Tripoli has imposed a no-fly zone on Benghazi because Haftar has access to some helicopters and fighter jets, which he's been using in Benghazi. So the situation could be the West testing out what Haftar is capable of in alliance with other death squads in Libya. And don't forget that when a leading death squad or militia, which has some quite popularity in Libya in the east, stopped the oil production, but then tried to sell a tanker, hey presto, the Navy SEALs turned up from the United States of America and got that ship back to ensure that the oil was going in the right direction, i.e. into the coffers of London, Paris and Washington and their primary allies in the Gulf, and not, as was the case under the quote-unquote resource nationalist government of Gaddafi, that the oil was going to be reinvested back into health, education and a Pan-Africanist and a global South strategy across the world.
Sukant, I'd like to continue this conversation with you, but I'm sure we will hear on RT. That is Sukant Chandan, activist and journalist, sharing his analysis of what's happening in Libya.